One night, he burned her. Years later, she turned her scars into her strength. This isn't just a story about suffering. It's about courage, reinvention, and discovering that sometimes the scars you carry are proof of your strength. Her name was Lena Morales. She was 27, quiet, thoughtful, the kind of woman who could light up a room with a gentle smile even when she was drained. Lena ran a small bakery in a cozy corner of town. Nothing luxurious, just a few ovens, a workbench stacked with ingredients, and a small display of pastries. Lena wasn't wealthy, but she was proud. Every loaf, every cupcake, every cookie was crafted with care. Each one represented her independence, her dream, and her dignity. Then she met Marcus. At first, he seemed kind and attentive. He admired her calm nature, the way she focused on her work, and the way she didn't chase attention. After a brief courtship, they married. The first months were quiet but happy. Marcus had a steady job at a local distribution company, and Lena's bakery hummed along. They laughed, shared meals, and occasionally talked about the future, maybe opening a bigger shop, maybe traveling, maybe starting a family someday. But soon, cracks appeared. Marcus began coming home irritable. Small things, a towel on the floor, a cup left on the counter, or Lena being a few minutes late with dinner, became reasons to lash out. One evening, Marcus walked in, loosened his tie, and frowned at the empty kitchen. "Dinner isn't ready," he snapped. Lena wiped her hands on her apron. "I just got home. Give me 30 minutes. I'll prepare something fresh." 30 minutes? His voice was sharp. "What were you doing all day?" "I was finishing a batch of cupcakes for a customer," she said. "They needed them today." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "That bakery again. You put that job before your home. Before me." Her stomach sank. "I'm just trying to build something for us," she murmured. He leaned closer, cold and commanding. "We already have something. A marriage. Focus on that." That night, Lena cooked quietly. Every stir of the pot, every chopped vegetable reminded her how little control she had. When Marcus finally sat to eat, he didn't even acknowledge her effort. Weeks passed. Tension settled like a heavy cloud in the house. Then came the night that changed everything. Marcus came home later than usual, his face set in a hard line. Lena was in the kitchen, finishing a soup. "Look at the time," he said, voice low. "And you're still cooking?" "Almost ready," Lena replied calmly. "Just a few more minutes." He laughed, but there was no humor. "You've been defiant lately. Talking back. Taking too long. Acting like your work matters more than me." Lena tried to explain, "Marcus, please." Before she could finish, he grabbed the pot and threw scalding soup onto her arm. The pain was immediate, unbearable. Lena fell to the floor, screaming, her skin blistering. He stood over her. "Maybe now you'll learn to listen," he said, and left her there. Lena went to the hospital alone. Second-degree burns. Painful treatments. Quiet, sympathetic nurses. When she returned home, Marcus was watching TV, as if nothing had happened. From that day, he made one rule. "You're done with that bakery. Stay home. Be a wife." Lena obeyed silently, cooking, cleaning, and smiling politely. She told herself it was temporary. She told herself patience would pay off. But every night, as her burned arm throbbed beneath the bandages, Lena thought, "Is this what love is supposed to feel like?" Weeks turned into months. Marcus controlled the money, the food, even how she dressed. She had to ask him for the smallest things. Once, she asked for feminine supplies, and he tossed a small crumpled bill on the floor. She picked it up quietly, but inside something shifted. Something woke up. That night, staring at the ceiling, Lena made a decision. "I built this bakery once. I can do it again." The next morning, once Marcus left for work, Lena retrieved her old bread mixer and rolling pins hidden in the pantry. She worked quietly, crafting pastries, cakes, and bread while he was gone. By the time he returned, the house was spotless, dinner ready, and no evidence of her labor remained. She contacted a few loyal customers discreetly, asking them to place orders under a friend's name. Word spread. Slowly at first, then quickly. One afternoon, a private school called. They needed 1,500 baked goods delivered in 3 weeks. Could she handle it? Lena hesitated, then said yes. She worked day and night, even hiring 2 trusted helpers. When the order was complete, the payment surpassed what she had earned in 6 months at her old bakery. And this was only the beginning. Soon another school called, then a catering company, then a local business requesting office treats. Her secret bakery became a thriving business. She rented a small workspace under a friend's name, hired more staff, and expanded. All without Marcus knowing. For 2 years, Lena lived a double life, quiet, obedient wife at home, fearless entrepreneur in secret. 2 years passed. Lena's bakery was no longer a secret side hustle, it had grown into a small, bustling enterprise. She had a dedicated team, a rented workspace, and loyal customers who trusted her completely. Yet, at home, she remained the quiet, compliant wife Marcus expected. Then came the day that would test everything he had once tried to take from her. Marcus walked in looking exhausted and defeated. His usual confident swagger was gone. He slumped onto the couch. "Lena. I need your help," he said quietly, almost hesitantly. Lena looked up from folding a stack of freshly baked bread. Her expression was calm, unreadable. "What kind of help?" "I made a terrible business deal," he admitted. "I borrowed money to invest, and now the people I owe are demanding repayment. I don't have it. I need a loan. Please, can you lend me some money?" Lena's eyes narrowed slightly. "Lend you money?" she thought. "You told me to stop working because money made me arrogant. You left me with nothing, burned my arm, controlled my life, and now you come asking me for help?" "I have money, Marcus," she said quietly. "More than enough to pay your debts. But I won't give you a cent." He blinked, then pleaded. "Lena, please. I'll pay you back. I promise I've learned my lesson. I'll change. Just, please." Lena stood, slowly walked to the window, and held up her arm. The scar ran from her elbow to her wrist, a permanent reminder of the pain he had caused. "This scar," she said softly, "is what you left me when I tried to build a life. Now you want me to save yours?" Marcus's jaw tightened, desperation in his eyes. But Lena didn't flinch. She didn't bend. She had spent 2 years quietly building strength, quietly reclaiming her life. She knew he had no right to demand anything from her. When he couldn't repay his creditors, Marcus turned to the bank. He used their home as collateral, desperate to cover his losses. That's when Lena made her next move. With the funds from her bakery, she legally bought the house outright, the very house where she had suffered, where she had been humiliated, burned, and controlled. Now it was hers. The day the sale was finalized, she called Marcus into the living room. "You need to leave," she said calmly. "Where will I go?" he stammered, panic in his voice. "That's not my problem anymore," Lena replied evenly. "And remember this, when a woman makes her own money, that's not arrogance. That's strength. When she has a voice, that's not disrespect. That's partnership. And when she walks away from you, that's not giving up on love. That's giving up on someone unworthy of it." Marcus left that day. He never returned. Lena never saw him again. With Marcus gone, Lena finally had the space to fully embrace her life and her business. She expanded her bakery into a small company that now supplied treats and baked goods to schools, businesses, and events across the region. She employed 15 people, trained apprentices, and became a mentor to women who wanted to start businesses in difficult situations. Her scar remained, a permanent mark of her past, but now it carried a new meaning. When people asked about it, she said, "This scar? It's my reminder of what I survived. And what I became in spite of it." Lena's story became a symbol of resilience. She learned that enduring abuse was not a requirement of life or marriage. Strength, dignity, and independence were not just possible, they were essential. Over time, Lena shared her story publicly. She spoke at women's business conferences, mentoring others who had faced control or abuse. She emphasized that building your dreams in secret was not shameful, it was sometimes the only way to survive and reclaim your life. She became an advocate for women learning to assert themselves, to pursue financial independence, and to recognize that a marriage should never shrink your potential. Lena's journey reflected a universal truth: pain can be a catalyst for growth, scars can be reminders of survival, and the life you create for yourself is always worth fighting for. And so, Lena Morales went from a quiet, controlled wife to a confident entrepreneur, living in her own home, running her own business, and answering to no one but herself and her principles. The woman who had once been burned, silenced, and controlled had become a symbol of empowerment, proof that even in the darkest nights, there is the promise of a morning filled with independence, dignity, and joy. Lena finally had the freedom to fully step into her life. Her business continued to flourish. What had started as a secret side hustle now employed 15 people. She rented a larger workspace, trained new staff, and expanded her services to schools, offices, and community events. But her success wasn't just about money. It was about freedom, freedom to make her own choices, freedom to create without fear, and freedom to live in dignity. Every loaf of bread, every cake she baked, carried a quiet victory: she had survived, and she had thrived. Lena also began sharing her story, first with friends, then with other women who were quietly struggling. She became a mentor, speaking at community centers and online forums about the importance of financial independence, resilience, and self-respect. She emphasized one crucial truth: your dreams are worth protecting, even in secret if necessary, and your life is never something to surrender to someone else's control. Her scar, once a symbol of pain, had become a badge of courage. People asked her about it, and she would smile softly and say, "This scar reminds me of the life I almost lost, and the woman I refused to become. It reminds me that surviving isn't enough, you can thrive, even when the odds are stacked against you." Over the years, Lena grew not only as a businesswoman but as a leader and role model. She hired women who had experienced challenges similar to hers, giving them jobs, mentorship, and confidence. Her bakery became more than a business; it became a safe space for women to dream, to build, and to reclaim their power. One morning, Lena walked into her office, sunlight streaming through the windows. She looked around at the bustling staff, the neatly packed orders ready for delivery, and the smile on her face was wide and genuine. She thought back to the days when she had been silenced, controlled, and hurt. The long nights she had cried in secret. The fear that had once weighed on her chest. And she realized something profound: all of that pain had not broken her, it had prepared her for this life. Her story became an inspiration to countless women, a reminder that surviving abuse is not the goal, reclaiming your life is. Independence and self-respect are not arrogance, they are power. Scars don't just mark pain, they mark strength and resilience. Lena Morales had turned her suffering into triumph. She had taken back what was hers, not with anger, but with wisdom, perseverance, and courage. The house that had once been a place of fear now stood as a monument to her independence. The bakery that had been her secret now stood as proof that she could build anything, anywhere, under any circumstances. As Lena looked out at the city from her office window, she felt a quiet pride. She had been tested, burned, and silenced, yet she had refused to stay down. She had learned that life is not about enduring hardship quietly, it's about fighting for your dignity, building your dreams, and walking forward with strength. And so, to every woman who has ever felt trapped, silenced, or powerless, Lena's story sends a simple but powerful message. Your life is yours. Your voice matters. Your dreams are worth fighting for. And no one has the right to take them away. Lena's story teaches us that courage is quiet at first, but unstoppable when it grows. That sometimes the most incredible victories are the ones we achieve in silence, without anyone noticing. And that the life you deserve isn't given to you, it's something you claim for yourself, one brave decision at a time. If you take anything from Lena's journey, let it be this: scars can heal, strength can rise from pain, and freedom is always within reach, if you're willing to fight for it.